Hey everyone, it is Savanna with Signature Ways. And today's episode I am so excited about because we're going to take a little bit of a different path with this episode and talk about a course that I am super passionate about, but also talk about mindset and the important things that, yes, you got to make your lead gen calls. Yes, you have to do all these things for your business, but are you working on yourself so you can make sure that you lead the business that you want for your life? And the guest I have today is Brandi. She is a dear friend of mine, and I adore her so much, and I want to be like her when I grow up. So, without further ado, Brandi, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you, Savannah. It's so nice to be with you today. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, I am so excited for our conversation today. Like I said, this course that we're going to be talking about is something I'm super passionate about. And obviously, you're on the board of directors. So before we get there, though, I want to ask the question, how did you end up in the real estate world?
That's a great question. I'll share just a little bit about me. I grew up in a small town in Texas and moved to Austin after I graduated college. And I didn't have a super clear vision of what my life was going to look like. I knew how to work hard. I knew that I enjoyed people and connection. And so went off to what was considered the big city for me and ended up in Austin, Texas. I found Keller Williams in 2005, and I had applied for a job in events that they had open, and it was for headquarters of Keller Williams. And basically, I started working there whenever they were kicking off the book tours for things like MREA, Shift, MREI. And so I would basically tour around with the speakers and help them set up the room and throw on this big book tour with another friend of mine, Dawn Soroka, that I worked with back then. And so we did that for a couple of years. And I basically say I grew up at Keller Williams through events. And in my time through the different events, I got to experience a lot of different events and classes that Keller Williams teaches. And Quantum Leap was one of those that we would actually set up for host other people to have an opportunity to attend. But I never really sat down and took the class myself until I had been with Keller Williams for over 10 years.
That's amazing. That's an interesting fact for sure.
Yes,
So,
yes.
kind of the first thing about Quantum Leap. So, what was your experience in that class? And for those who don't know what Quantum Leap is, a little bit about the class.
Yeah, for sure. What I like to say is that it's more of an event, and it's an event that invites you to transform your life through a series of conversations and questions that help you build out the life that you want. And if you let it, it can help transform that life through a series of small steps and changes that you can make in your life in order to align with that vision that you see. And so it's really can be transformational. I truly, truly believe that if you're willing to live on the journey, because it is a journey, it is a process. My experience when I first went through it, I remember I was in hosting and basically helping out with an event. This was at what we call Family Reunion, which is where we invite all of Keller Williams to come and participate and take courses. And we had set up in a room for Dick Dillingham to teach Quantum Leap. And I started listening and just started writing and realized how much I wasn't living my own path. I hadn't figured out what it was who I wanted to become so that I could figure out what I wanted to truly do and what kind of impact I wanted to make on the world. And so it really just kind of, just kind of rearranged things in me. It helped me really understand a little bit more about myself, which also helped me on the path to figuring out like what I wanted to do next. And I think God can intervene and the world can kind of align with, once you have some clarity, the world can align on what it is that you want and it can know what you want. The opportunity presented itself for me to lead KW NextGen, which is the nonprofit you were speaking about that I'm part of. Um, I am the executive director for that, and I've been doing that for over 10 years now. So that makes my career at Keller Williams almost 21 years old. And
That's amazing.
that's like a little adult, right? But I've gone through so much transformation in that process, Savannah, and going through that and being a part of Quantum Leap, I truly feel like it's almost like two different careers and different focuses of what it was that, like, now I'm on the journey of figuring out myself and who I want to be. And so this has been the best part, hands down.
I love that. What are some of the things that you would say the principles that have been installed in you through the court or the event or course or whatever you want to call it? Like
Yeah.
what are
Yeah.
the things that have helped change that and the realizations and why those things are important to anybody?
There are so many good, just there's so much good gold in the course itself, like, as you know, because I know that you teach it too. The cool thing about going through the process is especially the pivotal moment of figuring out your mission. That was really, I wrote my first mission statement down in that class with Dick Dillingham, and like had some inkling. But as Gary says, like, it's not set in stone. Like, you just need to write something down so you can start marching in a direction. And so I took that advice, and I remember, like, I even printed it out on a piece of paper and I put it up in my office that I had at the time. And that really did help me find some clarity. I will say that was really big. I think there's a ton of mindset and growth opportunity in the course that you talk about. And I think just bringing that to light for people is so key. Like, we don't even realize, like, accountability versus victim, that kind of language, that kind of behavior that we can take on, like how important it is for us to recognize that in ourselves, and that we all have, we can all have those tendencies. So I think that was really key for me. And then also there's so much about having a life of abundance that really has hit home for me, even as I, gotten further along in this journey. And that's kind of how it happens, right? You got to kind of figure out who you are first, and then you got to figure out how you're going to use what gifts and talents you have to help you live your life and to build a life. And then once you've built that life, how are you going to succeed and work through other people to help guide them along the way and have that vision? And then how are you going to give back to the world in a way that's lasting and leaves a legacy? And so when you put all that together, like, those to me are the key pieces of this that have made such a big impact on my life. I would say too, gosh, I keep coming up with so many, but that is truly, like, the part of this that I feel like just, you never outgrow it, because there's so much that you can continue on your journey and figure out as you go along.
It's so true. And obviously, Quantum Leap has inspired me, changed my life. I've become an instructor because of it. And, going through all the concepts, it's amazing how so many people desire for that, but it's so hard to step into an environment like that. So what would be your advice to somebody that knows deep down this is I need to do something like this class to go forward, but is struggling to even get there, or the judgment that will come around choosing this path? Because I've completely been judged for, having my brain kind of rewired in a sense of, okay, this is the 6 principles of success. This is what I'm going to do. And I have had people be like, you've changed. I'm like, well, yes. And it's because I've gotten clear about my mission.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's such a good point. I think that's one of the, it's just, it's part of doing this work that you are going to change. And I think we have to be okay with that and realize that, like, really, that's all of us. That is the nature of life. Like, hopefully all humans will go through change, because we weren't meant to stay in the same place. And so I think you got to give yourself some permission to let some of those relationships go when they no longer serve you. because you've got more clarity around who you want to be, and not necessarily let that hold you back from where you want to go based on what their judgment, because I've experienced that too, where it's like you just recognize who fills you, who allows you to grow and continue to be on that journey and supports you, versus who just wants you to stay exactly how you were. And I think that tells us a lot. And then to answer your question about like what would I say to someone who maybe is struggling with just even taking the first step, I think that's why it's such a, we encourage it to be such a small step too. Like going to the event, wherever you find one. It's so important to remember that this isn't about like changing your entire life in one fell swoop. And like all of a sudden, like many of us, I think of New Year's Day for a lot of people, right? I know when I was young, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to have this completely different life and I'm going to change all these things and all these habits all at once. And then, 2 weeks in, you're just like, this is terrible and I can't manage all of this. And you just let it all go again. And I think that's part of the key to this is I invite you to just ask yourself one big question and start there, and then let that change you, and then see what other tweak might need to be made. Instead of thinking, okay, I'm not ready for this big change. Could you be ready for a small one? Could you be ready for one small step? Which, as you know, is the secret behind the name of the whole class. Like quantum leap is not a huge leap. It is actually an intentional small step.
And I think the key word there is too intentional, right? It's being
Mm-hmm.
intentional in the daily actions. And so whether that's in your calendar or the conversations with your clients, and this was a conversation I was just having yesterday, just where has the intention actually been with the conversations? Are there just conversations with sellers to get by right now because the house is sitting, or are we being intentional and explaining to them where they're at in the market? And those kind of intentionalities is what moves the needle forward versus being like, well, my calendar looks full.
Yes, so true, right? And that goes into that whole like busyness versus being truly productive, and working to feel like you're doing something versus really actually working in your business or getting things accomplished. And I think that is so true. Like having that clarity is so important, and I feel like was one of the big lessons for me, because I was one of those people. I mean, I don't know, Savannah, if you feel that way too. I think we've had this conversation actually, like,
Oh, yes.
yeah, right, where you just feel like you are, I mean, it can be good because I do like to take things on and I love a challenge. And I'm curious. And at the same point, like I literally would raise my hand for everything and then wonder why I was too tired to do any of it. And I really needed more clarity around what do I care about here, so that I can just narrow in a little bit and not take on all these different things. And I will say this is something I work on still today. Like I really do. I have to be very careful about what I'm willing to do and take on, because I love to say yes to a lot. And that's what it can look like, is saying yes to a lot, or maybe even saying yes to nothing because you don't know, because you're frozen about what maybe you need in your life. So I think it can look different for different people.
Well, and I think also to that point, you could be actually saying no too much as well in some
Yes.
senses, because, and this was the little bit of a cycle I personally just realized and had to go, okay, Q3, these are the things I have to focus on, that I realized I'm really good at delegating.
Mm.
And because I was really great at delegating, there were some things that now have boiled to the point that I need to jump back in and have to spend a little more hours in due to doing that. And so um, that intentionality really comes down to, okay, when you're delegating, are you delegating the right things? Where's the hand back point? So you're paying attention to these things to, again, intentionally, because delegation's great, but if there's no intention behind it to make sure it's moving in the right direction, you're also
Mm.
going nowhere again.
Yes. Yes. That is so true. Yeah. No, those are great points. And you do sometimes have to just check yourself, right? Have a system for that where you can look in and go, hey, am I being intentional and what am I using to make those decisions? And I think a great, I mentioned the mission statement and how like creating that for your life can be so key. I think a good place to even start with that, though, if that feels too big for people, is your values. Is simply you can download or you can look at a list of values and just sit with those and figure out if you can find the top two or three. And that can bring you so much clarity too, because you're not, if writing down a statement feels like too heady or too thoughtful in some way, or maybe you don't want to cement it that much, finding those values can be a great way to also clarify if the things on my calendar are really fitting into my life in the way that I want them to. So I think that can be a great opportunity as well. That again aligns with everything that we do in Quantum Leap, because we have Quantum Leap and then we go on a deep dive into creating your mission, your vision, your values, your beliefs, and personal perspectives, which is a shorter course that takes you even further on the journey. But in Quantum Leap, we focus a lot on the mission statement and kind of stay there for a bit. But I just love that part too, because I feel like it adds so much color to how the mission statement even gets built. So it's a great part
Well,
of it.
it's good to know your values, right? And what you stand for, because it's going to shape how that mission kind of sounds.
Mm.
Understanding what's important to you before you go and try to write some blank mission statement, you need to know those things for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's really important, and it definitely helps too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So complete curveball real quick. But I had this idea. So talk to me, because I think one of the biggest things that I see, especially with right now I hear agents saying, oh, the market is a problem right now, right? All these external factors that I'm hearing, a lot of it comes down to limiting beliefs. And that's one of the topics in this class. So can you kind of touch on what limiting beliefs are and maybe like one tip that you have around those?
Oh, I love this part too. Yeah, for sure. So, limiting beliefs is a lot of times the programming that we are either born into, surrounded by in our environment, and typically a lot of times from a very young age. And a lot of times it sets up our belief system. And many times those same limiting beliefs or that same belief system uh, might have served us well. Like it might have been the thing that saved us when we were younger, maybe from ourselves, maybe from outside influences. Maybe it was the way our parents, the programming that our parents set us up with, that at some point in your life, you need to take stock of what it is that you're believing. And simply by believing, I mean, like, what are the things that you're hearing, that you're telling yourself that is true? And really think about if you want to carry that forward or not.
Mm-hmm.
If that still means something to you.
Yeah.
Or is it holding you back? Which I found several of those that hung around for me for a long time that I had to work through. And I think, that's the beauty of your life after 18-ish years old, right? Like at that point, it's no longer up to your parents to determine what your next move will be, and or whoever maybe raised you, and you get to decide. And I think that's this pivotal moment where we can all look at our lives a little differently and go, okay, well, now I'm responsible. I'm responsible for how I turn out or what my mindset is or what I'm willing to accept in life as people that I call role models or mentors or people that I'm going to surround myself with. And that is the beauty of like, you can break those limiting beliefs. You can let go of things that you maybe believed about yourself for a time. And I think the best way to do that is really just like shine a light in there and like write them down, get that out so that you can see and really determine. That doesn't mean everything, because some of the things that you have those beliefs about can be really helpful, and you want to highlight those. So writing them down can be really great because you can see the ones that you're like, yes, I'm going to carry that forward, and no, I'm going to let that go. And so that is, to me, just such a cool part of the exercise, because we actually do some of that in the class itself and allow people to move through that. And it basically, to me, the beauty of seeing that happen in a classroom, you've probably experienced this too, Savanna, is that people work together and like opening up to tell someone, hey, this is something that I believed about myself. And then you reframe it to say, but the truth is, I've realized that no longer serves me for this reason. And so I'm letting go of that belief. So yeah, it's a really, really cool moment. And I think it points back to how powerful it can be to say things out loud and also just decide that you're going to let go.
Well,
Yeah.
and when I've taught the course too, I've done it a few different ways. And one time at an office, we talked about, would you say this to a different agent? Would you say it to your child? Would you say it to a friend? And
Yes.
everyone's like, well, I don't see that value in anybody else. So I'm like, so why do you see it in yourself? Like, ask your friends, do you believe this about me? And everyone will say no.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yet we're the hardest on ourselves, saying, oh, I can't do this. I can't make cold calls. I'm not built for that. I'll never, be that size. I'll never be that athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Those are kind of the limiting beliefs that people tend to say to themselves. And they're worthless.
Yeah,
And
it's so
it's
true.
not worth the thought pattern. And don't get me wrong, everyone still has them, right? Like there's
Yeah.
first time I went to go teach quantum leap, I was like, I'm not cut out for this. No way. No one will ever take me serious. And that was obviously not true. And
Mm-hmm.
I had to overcome that before teaching this course. So it for sure will always happen, but it's how you address it when those thoughts come.
It really is. Yeah. Because we all are going to have that kind of programming, right? And
Right.
so, how can you just let your next thought be, the truth is, I can teach this because I'm already working on myself. Because no, is anyone really living all of Quantum Leap? Maybe Gary. And even Gary would say it's always a journey, right? But it is
Right.
his life. So we have to give him credit there that he literally put together like the way he was thinking and the models that he was following and put it into a course. However, like I think every instructor kind of struggles with that. Like, I'm not living every single part of this. And yet that's not the point. The point is that you are striving for that. You're looking for the life where you're that intentional. And I truly believe that I'm doing that to the extent that I can in the capacity that I have and do I have something that I can share with someone else about that journey? And absolutely. Like, especially as you know, the failure of like when I don't hit the mark, right? Sometimes those are the best parts because it's so
Yeah.
human of us to be able to share that and talk about like, hey, where I've fallen short and what I'm still working on today. So yeah, it's a good
A
one.
hundred 100%. And I think part of it too is, right, not having to look like you have it completely together. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what I love about this course and all the instructors that are in it is hearing their stories and why they've gone into it. And that exercise we did in June was so powerful to talk about why we got into teaching this course and how it's helped us. And to hear these stories and you realize you're not alone. The thoughts you have, the things that may have happened to you in the past, all these things, other people have been there too, but you're choosing to walk this journey to better yourself, your community, your legacy. And therefore, you can help other people and encourage them that maybe have been in the same spot, that it's possible to get out of that kind of vicious cycle.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, 100%. Like, and I think it does just as much, it provides just as much of a gift to you. And I know you know this, like when you teach it, it's like, it's just it's nurturing to you, it's solidifying to you, like, why am I doing this and what do I care about in this? And then the fact that, helping people like have this mindset or these tools or this thinking, it's like so life-giving because no one's going to be perfect at it. The fact that you're out there doing it, and then the more people that we have in this community that actually like think this way and want to aim to live their life in a certain way, to have a big life, the better. That only makes it more beautiful and more rich if we can all speak the same language. So I felt like that was really a gift at the event as well that we were at together here in Austin, because it just reaffirms why it is that we do what we do.
100%. Yeah. Tears and all through it.
Yeah, that's right.
And one thing I want to mention too for agents too, this is, not just mindset, because also Gary does talk about in the instructors, we all talk about finances as well. And I think in the real estate industry, that's one of the biggest hurdles, right? It's a commission-based job, whether that's, spending outside your means or waiting for that next closing. It's also talked about. And obviously, I think mindset has a lot to do with that. We go over abundance and wealth and all that great stuff. And to understand the financial portion, I've seen so many people just take that one section out of the course and been able to unlock so much potential in their life from a financial freedom standpoint as well. Because I know that can be sometimes one of the hardest things. And if you're dealing with a lot of that, it's sometimes really hard to get your mindset right.
Oh, yes. Yes. And I think that is such a key part of the whole course. It's written to where that's basically the last topic in the last section. But it's so important. And I think before I took Quantum Leap, I will say, while I had some inkling of like net worth and having a budget and having an understanding of like money itself, I didn't realize how much I wasn't paying attention to, or how much I wasn't futuristically planning and looking toward for a life of true abundance. And I think that is such a key part of this whole thing, is like, how do I get to a place where I'm giving back in a big way, and leaving that legacy and having that lasting effect, which part of that is really looking at, okay, what is the money for? Why do I need it? What good can come out of this that I'm not really focused on? And so I do think that's such a huge part of just business in general, but also just like adding purpose into the business in a deeper way through everything that you go through in the beginning of Quantum Leap helps set up that section too so beautifully, because your mission ties into that. Like everything 100%. That you right, you care about, your mindset ties into it. Like, you're only going to make what you think you are worth. You are only going to surround yourself with people who also believe in a similar self-worth, and like they've even proven this by doing studies. Like, you surround yourself with people who make about the same amount of income as you, and like how key that is to the kind of mindset that we have, what we believe our self-worth is, and why that is important. And if you're not studying that and if you're not thinking about that, then the default is happening, right? So right. I mean, there's so much good in that part too. You're right, that can really change anyone's life, a business owner's life in this, to see it differently. So yeah, it's huge.
It is. It's, again, life-changing, 110%. So
yes, for sure. Sure.
So I would love for you to talk about KW Next Gen directly. Mm-hmm. So we talked about the class, but what does KW Next Gen do, and about Founders Day?
Yeah, for sure. So KW Next Gen was started over 10 years ago with a vision from Gary Keller. So the same founder of Keller Williams also had the idea to create this nonprofit. And one of the reasons that it was created was because so many people had gone through what Quantum Leap is. And so basically we talked about like, what is it and this course or this event. And back in the day when it first started in the late 80s, it was like a 3-day event. And it truly, Gary would, he would invite people to come to this. And this was his way of truly getting to know the people who were going to be, he was going to be in business with, and help them also give them a gift of understanding themselves. And so it was 3 days. So that's incredible. Number one, that people would take that kind of time out. But I heard from many people since then. Just did an interview with Gene Rivers, who used to teach Quantum Leap and still does, I think. And he talked about how after that 3 days, he was just like in whatever Gary was doing, like he wanted to be a part of it. And so imagine that like experience of going through something like that. And that's basically what they, many people went through with him. And then so many people were asking like, hey, this was really impactful. And what would it look like if my life had been changed earlier? If I had had a chance to think this way in my 20s, just like what kind of change could that have made? And luckily you were in your 20s, Savanna. So like, that's really cool for you to be able to say that. And I was almost there, but I think there's many times where we think, okay, well, the best time for change is now. Whatever has happened, it's already happened. And the fact that we could start a nonprofit and allow Quantum Leap to be shared with anyone, because as you know, it's not a real estate course. It's really not.
Yeah.
It's really a self-leadership course. It's about helping you decide how to lead yourself. And then that will play out in your business, no matter what business you have. And I think that is the beauty of being able to start Next Gen as a nonprofit, is being able to help people earlier who may not have the means to go to a 3-day course that could cost you a whole lot of money to attend. But now we offer the courses at no cost to a young adult that is under 30. Typically, we make those as much as we can. We make those free. And then they can also apply, anyone under 30 can apply for coaching through us, free coaching, usually about 6 sessions of free coaching. And then if you complete those steps and you complete your coaching and you find that you have a financial need for a scholarship, you can get a scholarship through us if it aligns with your personal mission and your goals. And so that could mean anything like, if you're within Keller Williams and real estate, you could go to a family reunion. So you could sign up and go to family reunion through us. You can attend Bold. You can, if there's any events basically in your industry or trainings or learnings that you want to be a part of, you can come through our organization and apply for that, and even QL Summit. So yeah, so that's what the nonprofit is and what we provide. So events and coaching and scholarships where you can be in the same room with other people who want to think differently and care about their own personal growth and living a big life and finding out more and finding that community right here with us. So such a cool opportunity. And then as we were talking about with you, Savanna, you're an instructor, and I think you have an event coming up soon, July 17th, right?
July 17th. So
Yes.
2 days after this airs. So it's going to be in Westminster for anyone that wants to come, starting at 9 a.m. at the KW office.
And that's a great opportunity, right? That you get to go and teach it and basically have that, like retreat for yourself as you offer it out to other people. So that would be really cool. And so we have that open to any of our Keller Williams agents and leadership, that they can come and teach through us, through KW Next Gen, Quantum Leap, and all the other courses that we offer. So pretty cool opportunity.
And it truly is. And part of the reason too, and what Signature Agent Service is built on, is honestly helping our agents learn, meet them where they're at in their careers, so they can continue to build that business by their design. And whether that's they want to do more closing, or whether that's they want more time to be at home, whatever that looks like, being able to give them the tools to be able to do that, and just be a support system. We're a relationship built business. And it's funny because so many people ask me, am I worried about AI stepping into our realm, which is funny because we're recording a podcast later this week about AI. And yet AI is a very powerful tool and it will never replace the relationship portion. And I think that's already been proven to real estate agents, right? So to
Mhm.
be able to be an instructor for this course and bring it to anybody that's not even in real estate or is, at a different brokerage, anything like that, like to be able to help pour into them to build their big life is a very humbling and amazing experience.
So amazing. It really is. And that's the thing. I think you might have said this, but just to reiterate, it's really for any age. Like
Yeah.
you can get something out of this at any age. And I
Yeah.
find, especially when you're transitioning
Mhm.
into perhaps a different role or into a different, let's say, like you're wanting to make more money, or like you said, maybe you need more time at home. Like any of those types of transitions that you might be going through, I think are prime times for you to take a course like this, like to experience this, because how many of us really take the time we need, Savannah, when we're going through a transition or a tough time, and think about who it is that we want to become again. Like that's what
Yeah.
Gary says. Like sit down and go through it again. Anytime you go through something where you failed at something, like go through again. Who am I and what do I want my life to be about? And this having this event that you're having is the perfect opportunity for people to experience that and have that time and space to be able to figure that out again.
And to kind of flip that on its head, that was something that for me was huge for both times that I
Mm-hmm.
took it in my 20s. And I took it and did it to the business. I'm like, what does our business actually look like? So when things have not gone right or we're going to that next, breaking through the next ceiling, being able to build the vision around that and build that out for the business so you can take all these principles, work internally, but also externally put them right back into your business to continue to build something awesome.
So true. Yes, yes, all that. Um, You also asked me about Founders Day, and I did not say that.
Yeah,
So
no,
let's
you're
talk
good.
that for
I
a
was about
minute.
to ask you, and I was like, tell me about Founders Day. Because I think
Yes,
it's a great learning opportunity for so many people, and to also be part of something really big.
that's so true. And I talked a lot about how Gary was involved in the very beginning, and like this, that he basically gifted Quantum Leap to the nonprofit. Well, on Founders Day, it's always held right around Gary's birthday, and we host a day where we're raising money to help us be able to continue to offer these great scholarships that we give to young adults. And in fact, this fundraiser, it's our annual and largest fundraiser that we do in the year. It is directly tied to the budget that we'll be able to provide with scholarships for next year. And so we need to raise $300,000 in order to be able to give back to the amount of young people that come to us with a need. And so we would love anyone, like, and seriously, this is every dollar counts in this fundraiser. We also are offering this special event, never offered before, but it's an AI and social media mastery workshop. And so we decided to put this together because we don't just believe in young adults' growth, we believe in everyone's growth, right? So this is just another one of those topics that is so transitional and changing all the time that we felt like let's go and provide something really special on Founders Day. And we'll also show how you coming to that course will also help us help young adults and help the next generation as they need the support and the guidance to navigate those meaningful 20s. So I hope that, some of your listeners will take advantage of coming and being a part of that event, and also helping us by fundraising and giving what you can, because that event is $29 to attend all 4 sessions. There's 4 different workshops going on that day, all about AI and social media mastery. We've got Lauren Lucas, we've got Patrick Ferry, Eric Forney, Rachel Adams Lee. It's going to be powerful. And so if you come to that, you get all those courses for $29, or you can make a $99 donation and get the recordings of all of them. So in case you can't spend the whole day there, you can get it all sent to you so that you can take part. So we hope that some of you will join us for that.
Yes, and it's virtual, so it doesn't
It
matter
is
what
virtual.
state you are in.
Yes.
it's going to be amazing. And I just kind of want to speak to the scholarship part and why it's so important, because I was lucky enough to be one of those recipients of the scholarship. And one thing that, well, there were two major moments that the scholarship paid for, and it was going to Her Best Life in Miami, where I met a group of incredible women um, that really changed kind of my thought process around, women in business, because sometimes I felt like it could be really catty. And none of them were this way. And they have been a big support. And I adore all of them so much to this day. And we have masterminds since then. We all stay in touch, still wish each other happy birthdays. And without their support and just being able to honestly sit there and just kind of let it out, what the struggles were, and to actually be heard was so powerful, because just to remove that weight off your chest was just, it moved mountains. Along with that is the scholarship also paid for business coaching for me as well. And that's what really started this business. Because of being able to have a coach to sit in my, corner when I was like, that's it, thrown in the towel, because we all have those moments. And it, this isn't, for the faint of heart. It takes a lot. And there are moments that you're going to be down on yourself. There's going to be moments that you are, feeling really awesome and kind of need to be brought back down to reality too. So being able to have that scholarship has really just built a lot of things personally, internally, and externally. And I've seen so many kids benefit from this scholarship. I know someone that is applying for it because they don't have a vet in their hometown. She is going to school to be a vet and wants to then move back home and open up her own practice, because the closest vet is 40 minutes away, and she's seen friends lose horses. And although, all of us might not be living in the country and fully understand that, what a beautiful thing to want to come back to her community, to be able to make sure people living in crisis with their large animals don't have to try to figure out how to get a horse, that won't get up into a horse trailer. It's impossible. And to make that vet call for 40 minutes away is horrendously expensive. And so what do you do in that moment, unless if you're pretty savvy yourself? And so what a beautiful thing she wants to use that towards.
Oh, I love that. And I had not heard that, Savanna. So I appreciate you sharing that story in particular. There are so many great.
So
what? Say that again?
I think she's finishing her coaching right now.
Okay.
So
okay. Awesome. But she already has a vision for what she's going to use the scholarship money for. So I just think that is just really beautiful and meaningful. And we got so many stories like that too. Like, it's incredible to me, this generation, the clarity that they have, the young adults that we get to work with. There is so much like good ideas, clarity, vision around what they want to do. The sad part is when we can't help fulfill that, based on budget. So I think the more people that we can help, the better. And you all make this possible. So I thank you, Savanna, for being a part of this and being someone who has gone through the experience, but then you're also doing such an amazing thing by giving back in that way. You've been enlightened, and now you're enlightening others. And that's just a true gift. It really is. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I couldn't have done it without you being on the board, and just your friendship has meant a lot. A couple of years ago when I went through it and had that breakthrough moment, I just remember standing outside those doors with you, and I was like crying. I was like, I don't even know why I'm crying. I'm like, what just happened? But it was life-changing. So I just appreciate you always being there, and thank you for coming on this podcast.
Yeah.
I was so honored when you said yes. So.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I'm happy to do it. Happy to be here. And I hope that, you keep on doing so much of the good work that you're doing. And if I can help in any way, I'm here.
You're a rock star. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here for this fun episode. I know a different twist on it, yet I believe so much in the mindset and the growth inward, so you can do that in your business. So thank you again.
Thank you.